What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be checking out Lululemon stock, which is a company I've owned for a while now. And as you can see, I was buying in at $337 a share. So I had to ride out this huge, painful ride all the way down. And now we're finally back recovered. And yesterday, when the stock went up to, I think it went slightly higher, it was at 407. So on the way there, I was selling on a couple of shares. I think I sold 5 or 6 shares between 380 to 400. And now I have these 5 shares left, which I'm probably gonna hold for a little while, although really I'm looking to get rid of them, especially if the stock goes up to, let's say, 410 or 420, then I'll be more, ready to get rid of them. But this stock has just been a huge mess primarily because of demand and sales in the Americas has not been strong. And they got lucky with this quarter, as you're going to see here, okay, let's go through all the big news here. Board of Directors authorizes a $1 billion increase in the share repurchase program. So that's good. That's a nice catalyst there. Revenue increased 9%. Comparable sales increased 4%, right? And so that's part of the problem is I'm happy they did well with international revenue because it increased 33%, which the Americas revenue only increased 2%. And comparable sales was down 2%. So it's really just coming down to those international sales is what helped out this company's numbers right now. And so it's very hard to predict, though, what kind of valuation the stock's going to trade at because typically this stock trades at 45, 50 times earnings, right? But lately, the past year has been nowhere near that. It's been as low as 20 because they weren't growing as much and the numbers weren't looking as good. So now it's kind of hard to get an idea of what is the new baseline. I don't think it's going to be up here because if it was up there, that would mean the stock is going to go back to $600 or $700. $675 would be the share price based off of next year's earnings if we were trading at 45 times. So I think 20 is a little bit too, I think 20 is too low. That's kind of extreme. Right now we're at what, 27 or so, somewhere around there. That could be a healthier baseline, but I still think we could get up to maybe 35 times. And so, if we're talking 35 times next year's earnings, that means this stock is going to be $525, which is a big increase from where we're at today. But I think it's possible. It depends on what type of growth they're doing. And if they're growing 10% this year and 7% next year, those numbers are kind of weak, especially if it's heading in the wrong direction like that. I could see the stock maintaining a 25 times earnings, maybe, I think 25 to 30 times earnings is going to be more realistic. And so that's where I'm kind of like, there's a good chance the stock does keep running up and maybe we see it get to 420 or 430, something like that. And then at that point, I'd probably be happy to sell because it's definitely at just a fair valuation. And past that point, they would just be overvalued, really, because there's no reason to pay 40, 50 times earnings for a stock that grows 7%. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at this. Lululemon is just one of those things where it has to be in style. And the last couple of years, they've talked about how there's so many new competitors out there now. And there's just a lot of things to consider where it's not always going to be it might not always be the premium brand that is growing at huge growth rates because if we go back to so just for reference, trailing 12 months of revenue has been $10 billion. If we go back to the last couple of years, you can see that look at the last 5 years, they're saying average growth per year was 23%, right? That's a lot more than the 7% they're going to do. So these numbers just looked better, in these years. 4 billion, 4.4 billion, all the way up to 6.2, 8.11, and 9.6. So if we're only growing 7% now, it's not going to demand the same PE ratio anymore. And so that's going to be the issue. So it's hard to judge exactly what the fair valuation is for this stock, but I would say it's somewhere between this and 450, really. And so that is my analysis for Lululemon. How I said, I'll probably sell out of these shares in the next week or two, hopefully, but that is it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.